Comfort is this silent killer of your business, and realistically, comfort is going to be the start of the downfall of nearly every single area in your life. In this video, I'm going to explain to you why comfort is the silent killer of your business and how you can prevent the comfort trap. This video is going to be between 15 and 20 minutes long. If you can't sit through a 15 to 20 minute video that is going to show you how to remove the biggest downfall in your life, then there's no point in even trying. That being said, let's get into the video. Comfort is the silent killer of your business. It'll probably be the silent killer of your health, of every area in your life. When comfort creeps in, you should be worried because comfort will be the silent killer. So to explain this, I think this diagram is going to be very important, very relevant. We go through these cycles, these periods throughout our life on a yearly basis, on a monthly basis, okay? And they're basically oscillations. And the way it works is you have a point down the bottom here where you feel an incredible amount of pain. And as a result of that pain, it drives growth. And it will drive growth up until the point where you feel comfortable. That moment where you feel comfortable is where you're going to start to slip, your standards are going to start to fall, and you're going to start to fall all the way down until you can no longer handle this amount of pain, and it drives growth back up again. And this growth will drive until the point of comfort. And when you start feeling that comfort, your standards will drop again, you will fall to the pain, and you'll rise to the comfort, and you will fall again. I mean, this is just so damn predictable. If you look at this in like a health, like a weight loss timeline, okay, let's say New Year's Day rolls around, and you're like, okay, this is going to be the year. This is the year where everything changes. I'm going to get in incredible shape. What happens is you're at a point of pain and you're like, something has to change, okay? So the year starts strong. You get your gym membership. You're starting to eat clean. You're like, okay, this is cool. And you start seeing results and you're like, cool, this is great. This is really, really good. And then you get to a point where you're like, look at me. I look so amazing. I'm going to start going to all these parties and showing off. And when you start going to those parties and you start letting your standards slip, you start drinking too many margaritas, the standards start slipping and you start falling and the standards start falling and you start putting on the weight. And you're going to keep putting on the weight until the point of maximum pain where you can no longer take it and you go, that's it. I'm losing some damn weight. And what do? You start getting back into the gym, you start eating well, and you get all the way up to the point where you're like, look at me, I'm the man, look how jacked I am. And then you get comfortable. And then you start slipping down again, and then up, and then all the way down. This is Christmas time, right? The family's over, you're drinking beers, you're eating all this amazing food, and you get pretty fat over Christmas, and then New Year's Day rolls around, and this is gonna be the year, okay? This happens everywhere. Okay, think about your business, right? You might start your business and let's say you're trying to bring people into, to buy your product and you're doing that through social media. Okay, so you start the year and you're like, okay, this is the year I'm going to grow my business like crazy. And you start posting regularly and you start getting some traction. You start getting some clients. You start, getting some good results. You start getting some cash in. And then you get to a point where you're like, look at me. I'm such a bowler. Look at all this money I have. And then what happens? You start spending it. You start upgrading your lifestyle. You start going out more. You start working less. You start getting comfortable. And you start slipping down. And you're going to keep falling and falling and falling and falling until the point where you can't take it anymore. Where you're like, damn it, I'm so broke. I'm so poor. And then you start posting again, right? And then you start getting more consistent with your outreach. You get more consistent on your business. Okay, you bring some discipline back in. And then you get all the way up. And then you're a baller again. And you start going out and you start enjoying the lifestyle that you deserve. And then you start slipping back down. This oscillation happens for everything in your life. Okay? It's so common and it's so damn predictable. And it's pretty important to understand that you can look at this like the goals or like the pinnacle of where you want to be and then your standards. Most people are concerned about getting to their goals, getting to this point where they're, making X amount per month and they're working out all the time and they're in incredible shape, right? Let's say they're getting up at 4 a.m. every day and they're posting every day and they're doing their workouts and they're eating perfectly and they're doing meditations and they're doing saunas and they're doing ice baths and they're doing journals and they're doing everything, right? Their goal position is incredibly high, right? But they don't think about the standards. And when they feel this comfort, when they've achieved this goal and they start crashing down, you're only going to fall to the level of your standards. And the level of your standards is essentially where you feel so much pain that you can no longer handle this current existence, so it drives growth. So rather than constantly trying to increase this, trying to get the goal as high as possible, all that's going to happen is it's just further for you to fall. Because once you get this comfort and you fall and you drop to the level of your maximum pain or your standards, it's just a long way to fall. Rather than doing that, why wouldn't we just try to increase our standards? Because at the end of the day, the year that you had is not going to be based on the peaks. It's based on your average. Okay? It's based on this, not this. So rather than getting big peaks, why don't we just increase our standards? Because if you increase your standards, you're going to increase your average. And there's only so far you can fall. Okay? The big issue here is the feeling of comfort. As soon as you feel this, you know what's coming. You're about to fall. You're about to fall till your maximum level of pain. You're about to fall to your standards. Let's not focus on increasing the peaks. Let's focus on increasing the standards. The other thing we need to do is we need to notice when we feel comfortable. When you feel comfortable, you shouldn't feel good. You should feel like there's something I'm missing here. I'm about to get complacent. Something is about to get in trouble because this is damn predictable. If you create this graph for yourself and you map out everything in your life, right, to the finest details. Let's say that you're not super consistent, but you like meditating, right? You want to meditate more often. I bet you there's points where you're meditating every single day and there's points where you're not meditating at all. Okay? And I'm sure it oscillates like this. You feel comfortable, you're like, cool, this is good. And then you get to the point where you're not doing it all and you're like, damn it, I need to start back up again. Same with your working out, same with your business, and same with everything, okay? And I like this quote because I think it makes a whole lot of sense. And that is, the idle hands do the devil's work, right? When you do these things, when you're scrolling, when you're binge watching TV, when you're eating junk food, when you're playing video games, when you're not exercising, this all comes when you feel comfort. When you feel comfortable, that's when this stuff creeps in, okay? You don't start doing this. Most likely, you're not going to be doing this at the peak point of pain where you want to change. You do it where you're like, I'm the man. Everything's good. I can do what I want. I've made it, okay? That is when this stuff starts creeping in. It's because the idle hands do the devil's work. By the way, if you are a digital entrepreneur and you would like help removing these items without requiring willpower and discipline so you can grow yourself and your business, increase your standards, and become a better version of yourself, build your business, build yourself, then there's a link in the description below. You can check that out and I'll be happy to help you. Otherwise, let's keep going with the video. So, one thing that I realized recently, which I think really, really helped me out, is framing things as it's not about getting to the destination, it's about staying there. So many of us are in this rush to get somewhere, but it's not really about getting there, it's about staying there. So for example, it's not about getting rich, it's about staying rich. It's all well and good for me to, have a great month, make, $1 million in a month. But if you can only do that once, if you can't repeat that, then you'll be rich for a year. And then what after that? It's like if you got a amazing crypto pump, right? And you just made a bunch of money, cool, you'll be rich for a bit, but you're probably not going to stay rich because you haven't learned any of the lessons that are required to get you rich. The next thing is, it's not about becoming free, it's about staying free, okay? The whole reason most people want to build an online business is because they want the freedom. They want to have the time freedom, the location freedom, the financial freedom, everything associated with having an online business. But it's not about just becoming free. It's about staying free, right? If I was working a 9 to 5 job, I could take a 4 week holiday, right? And I would be free for 4 weeks. Okay. Then I would have to put my collar on, aka my tie, and go back to work. But it's not about just becoming free. It's about being able to stay free, right? Same thing with getting in shape. It's all well and good to be shredded for the summer, but if you just put that weight back on, it doesn't matter. It's not about getting in shape. It's about staying in shape. The last one is think about your relationships. It's not just about getting married. It's about staying married for prolonged periods of time. Think about the person that just got rich, for a year. They were rich for a year and they were free for, 6 months and they got in shape, okay, for the summer and they got married for a couple of years. There's nothing I envy about this person, but someone who's able to stay rich, stay free for their whole life, stay in shape for their whole life, stay married for their whole life. This is a person that I would look up to. This is the kind of person that I would aspire to be. But if you're only concerned about getting there, you're not concerned about staying there, I think you would do things very differently. For example, if you were just trying to get rich, you weren't trying to stay rich, maybe you would do something like invest in some crazy crypto pump. And cool, I just made an insane amount of money off basically gambling. What now, right? Same thing with, doing some crash diet and then getting shredded for the summer and then putting it all back on. Or, marrying a woman for her looks because I'm short-sighted. You're framing it wrong. It's not about getting there. It's about staying there. And I think a lot of the problem with people who just get there and they don't stay there is they get comfortable. You're getting way too comfortable. If you have like an incredible month in your business, an incredible 6 months, that's not where you get comfortable. That's where you double down. If instead of feeling that comfort, you felt pain, you were like, I'm not doing enough, I need to get more, that's where you grow. It doesn't come from the comfort. We know what happens when you feel comfortable. It's when things start to slip off, okay? You're complacent if you're comfortable, okay? Same thing with getting in shape. If you, get your six-pack that you always wanted, you're in shape, and then you're like, cool, I'm in shape, so I got to go to a bunch of beach parties now, and I got to drink a bunch of margaritas with girls. Guess what's going to happen? You're probably not going to stay in shape, okay? So if you think about staying there rather than getting there, I think you'll avoid a bit of the trap that comes with comfort, because at the end of the day, it is about staying in these states, not just getting in them. Now, this is a really important thing to note, is that your business is a representation of you, right? Especially at the lower levels where you don't have 50 employees. It's really just you, and then maybe you have some sort of virtual assistant, and maybe you have a sales rep or two, okay? But it's really just you. And when it's just you, you are a representation of your business, and your business is a representation of you, okay? So what does that look like? Well, if you're short-sighted, if you're thinking only very much in the short term, you might take shortcuts. So, your business might make false promises, okay? You might not be as ethical, okay? The second one is literally being less ethical, being immoral, okay? If you're an immoral person and you're short-sighted, then maybe you're promising big things, you're not delivering on them, you're making poor results. What's going to happen is, cool, you might get rich. Like if you promise you can make $10,000 a month within 20 days without any business experience, then you might get rich. A few people are going to buy that, but then what's going to happen? Well, people are going to get shit results, because if you have zero business experience, the likelihood of you getting to $10,000 a month is pretty damn hard. It's very low, okay? And you're taking shortcuts, right? So you're basically saying, you can get these great results and you don't deliver it. What's going to happen is you're going to get rich, but you're not staying rich for long, and you're destroying your reputation. That's going to be hard to fulfill, okay? And if you're sloppy in your personal life, if you're lazy, if you're complacent, if you feel comfortable a lot, then it's going to reflect in your business. Your business might look unprofessional, things aren't going to be so good. On the flip side, right, if you were long-term thinking, right, if you were thinking, what is my business going to look like in 10 years' time? What's it going to look like in 15 years' time? Then your potential for growth is a lot higher, okay? It is significantly higher, because you're probably thinking, how can I make something as good as possible? How can I deliver on my results, okay? If you're a moral person, then you probably will be focusing on how can I get the best possible results for my customers? How can I build the best possible product? And what happens if you build a great product and people love it is that people are going to start telling other people about it. And it might take less time in the short term because you're not saying, here, make $10,000 a month in 20 days. But in the long term, it's probably how you're going to stay rich, okay? Same thing with your personal life. If you're disciplined in your personal life, if you don't get comfortable, right? If you don't have this huge drop off from feeling comfortable, then your business is probably going to look professional, right? You're probably going to get some great results. You're going to have a large growth potential and things are going to be better. And this all stems back to not getting comfortable. As soon as you feel comfortable, as soon as these things creep into your life, okay, things are not good. When you feel comfort, you should think, oh shit, I need to start doing more stuff because things are not looking good. Because if you flip the floor, if when you got to this point where you were feeling incredibly comfortable, instead you started feeling pain, you might be able to raise your potential, right? You might be able to significantly increase the average. Now, obviously, it's hard to feel incredibly painful if you're doing really well, but I think we'll need to avoid this feeling of comfort at all costs because with comfort comes complacency, and with complacency comes your downfall. So that was the end of the video. If you liked the video, please like, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.